In this video, I'm going to try to create my own DIY soft gel tips. I have some idea in mind, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. So I thought I will just try and we will see. And it's definitely more fun if we will do it together. So keep watching and we will see if it's working. Coming up. Hello guys, this is Anastasia. This is my model for today. Her nails are in pretty good condition, only the ring finger is broken, but it's not a problem because we're about to do extensions. First, I'm going to file her free edge short. I'm using 180 grit file to do this, and every time you are filing someone's nails, do not forget to push back the sidewalls. Then we proceed to manicure. First, I push back the cuticles with orange wood stick, and this is when I noticed that this client does not have much cuticles. I thought that she probably did her manicure a few days ago. I was surprised to figure out that she didn't. She said her last manicure with extensions was about 4 weeks ago. So some people just do not have that much excess skin. Regardless of this, we still need to clean the skin along the sidewalls and slightly under the cuticle to provide a better adhesion and to prep the nails for extensions. I am using flame-shaped diamond bead with red abrasive mark. The speed is 18,000 rotations per minute. First, I work on the left side and use forward mode, and then I switch to reverse mode to work on the opposite side. Then I slightly push back the skin using the same bead so it will be easier to trim it. And since we do not have much skin here, I'm going to use a sphere-shaped diamond bead with red abrasive mark. By the way, if you would like to learn more about dry manicure, how to work with different cuticle types, I have an online class. It's called Electric File Manicure. It includes over 60 lessons, live teacher-graded assignments, certificate of completion, and CEU credits. But please keep in mind that dry manicure is an advanced technique, and if you do not feel confident when working with electric nail file yet, I recommend you to take the class for beginners, which is called eFile 101. I will leave the links to both classes in the description box. After finishing manicure, we need to take off the surface shine. You can use regular hand file or you can use buffer. I'm using the one with 180 grit and make sure that the surface of the nail plate is matte. Then I'm going to pick the sizes of the dual forms. We are supposed to do our own soft gel tips, remember? But I need to understand which sizes we need to do. That's why I'm picking the correct size using dual forms, and it should be slightly bigger than the nail, because the tip we are about to attach on the nails is also going to be bigger. Then I proceed to the nail prep, and it is going to be the same as we normally do when doing soft gel extensions. First I apply dehydrator, let dry, then I apply non-acid primer only on the surface of the nail plate without touching the skin, and then I'm going to use base coat. You can use the one that usually comes in a kit with soft gel tips, or you can use the one for gel polish. It's also going to work great. This one I'm using right now is by Cupa. We need to cure it for 30 seconds in LED and let the experiment begin. This is the dual form that I picked, and I decided that the best product to do DIY soft gel tips is going to be hard gel, because it's super easy to apply it and it's also going to self-level. We could use something else such as polygel, but I think it's easier this way. Then I'm going to cure it, but not all the way, and gently separate it from the dual form. Looks like it worked, but let's see if it's even possible to attach it on the nail. So I apply builder gel, first a thin coat, and then without curing I apply a little more. Normally we use special builder gels to apply soft gel tips. That's why I'm using the same builder gel I used to create these tips. So then I apply it on the nail, and with detailer brush I'm leveling up the surface of the gel that's squeezed, so hopefully we're going to have a smooth surface. And then we need to cure it for 1 minute in LED. Looks like it's working, but I'm not sure. We need to finish and see how it's going to look. So then I proceed. By the way, if you do not work with builder gel, This part is super easy because technically I'm just putting the gel inside of the dual form, so one side is going to be perfectly smooth and the other as well because it's self-leveling. So technically you don't really need to do anything, and this is another tip that we just created. At this point, I started asking myself, why do we even need to do our own soft gel tips? Well, for me, it's mostly like an experiment. I'm just curious and I like trying new things. But then I thought I had this client once and her thumbs were very wide and it was not possible to fit any soft gel tips that I had because they were all smaller. So for this case, this may be helpful, but on the other hand, you need to have dual forms to create them. Another advantage of this method that just came to my mind is that you do not really need to use nude gel. You can create your own color, you can even mix something inside, and you will have immediately an inlay design. I think this method could also be beneficial for nail technicians who are learning how to work with builder gel, because sometimes it can be tricky, especially when you're using traditional forms. But this method is easier because you're technically building the tip of the nail outside of the nail. But I have to warn you, it's a little tricky when it comes to the size of the nail. So when you're picking the dual form, make sure it's not the exact size as the nail. It should be slightly bigger. Otherwise, you will not have enough product along the sidewalls. At this point, I have to say that using this method is kind of fun, so now I really wish it is going to work. A little concern that I have if it's going to fully cure underneath, but on the other side, the tip that we are creating is rather thin, and normally this amount of product cures on top of the nail, right? So I think it should be. So I decided to cure it for 2 minutes, just in case, and now it's time to take off this sticky layer. Now I can see that we have some product near the cuticle that is not super even, so we will need some filing and shaping in that area. But other than that, the shape itself looks pretty good, so we just need a very slight retouch. So I'm filing the sidewalls and the free edge, which are already in pretty good condition. At this point, I realized that the tips that I created are very thin. So if I leave the nails like this, they look good, but I don't think they're going to last. Remember how thin the tips were when I created them on the dual form? Well, we definitely cannot have nails that thin. And also I need to file this area a little bit, but honestly I do this with the soft gel tips as well, so from this point it looks very similar. But I will need to add some product near the cuticle, definitely, which probably will not be that hard because we're about to have a perfect surface underneath. At this point, it is obvious that this method cannot be considered as something quick because we're spending too much time doing all this, but on the other hand, DIY usually is not about fast, right? It's about do it yourself. And looks like we were able to do the tips. Now it looks good, but it doesn't have enough strength near the cuticle and in the middle. The nails are rather flat, so I'm going to add some product on the top. So at this point, I thought that this would be a great exercise for students, for anyone who's learning how to work with builder gel. Because when you're using traditional tips or even traditional forms, it's a little tricky to apply it on top. But when you have this perfect surface underneath, it's quite easy. So first I apply the gel on the surface, and then without curing, I take more gel and apply it near the cuticle. So the goal here is going to apply the gel as perfect as possible, and we're not going to file it afterwards. Because we already did some filing and shaping, we filed the sidewalls, we filed the free edge, so it is smooth already. And now it is going to be easy to apply some product on the top to make it smooth as well and a little stronger. I'm using printing method to apply the gel, and the key point of this method is you need to not let go the gel, like it should not be separated from the brush until the end. You just move from the right to the left side back and forth until you apply it on the entire nail. Do not rush to cure the nails in the lamp. I recommend you to check it from all side views, and if you see something that you do not like, like, you can always fix it. If you've been doing this for too long and now you notice that the product started flooding the sidewalls, you can always turn the hand around and the gravity is going to help you a little bit. So the most important part, make sure that the gel is not touching the cuticle or the sidewalls, because once it does, all the gel will want to go there. So if you did accidentally touch the skin, you can clean it with orange wood stick or with a lint-free wipe saturated with alcohol or acetone. Most of my nail experiments end like this. Once I finished the last nail, finished everything, I realized, hey, I could have done it better. Now I have a better idea. And this is exactly what happened just now. Remember when I was creating this tip, I was using a little bit of gel because I wanted to make it super thin. But then I thought the actual soft gel tips, they're not extremely thin, especially in the middle or on the free edge. They are designed just like sculptured nails, with a little bit of thickness in the middle where the apex is supposed to be. So next time I definitely should try building these tips in a different way. I should make them thin near the cuticles and thicker in the middle, so we will have a finished sculptured nail. What do you think, guys? Is this way it is going to work? Even though this method took me longer than I expected, I had to say that I enjoyed especially this part, because applying gel on top of something is rather satisfying and it's kind of like a meditation to me. So I don't mind doing this longer, especially when I know that I will not need to file or shape it afterwards. Oh, and next time we definitely need to try something with inlay design, maybe with some dry flowers, or something more fun in the middle. Then I cure it for 2 minutes and we decided that it's going to be a little boring if we have just nude nails, so we applied a glitter gel polish on top. Technically, you do not need too many sizes and shapes of the dual forms to create this kind of tips. I mean, I created the ones that look more like square or ballerina shape now, but we could do almond shape in the same way. However, they are definitely not going to work for stiletto nails or something longer. So to create DIY soft gel tips using this technique, you will also need to have dual forms. Finally, I'm going to seal it with the top coat, cure it in LED for 30 seconds, and the nails are finished. What do you think, guys? I think the experiment worked, even though it took a little longer than I expected. And if you have any ideas in mind that you tried or you want me to try, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here on my channel, consider subscribing, as I post new tutorials and experiments just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye.